Welcome back to Gentleman's Corner, guys. My name is David. Today I will be performing a number of readings from British pop culture as a response to the English estate giveaway that Mr. Lawrence Smoke, the professor, is having. So prepare for an indulgence into British culture through two readings from the Bard himself, Mr. William Shakespeare, and two readings, speeches from the sci-fi pop series Doctor Who, which in my opinion is just as quintessentially British as anything. Here we go, and scene. And now a soliloquy from the Shakespeare play Macbeth. Act 2, Scene 1. Is this a dagger which I see before me? The handle toward my hand. Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I still see thee. Art thou not, fatal vision, sensible? To feeling as to sight, or art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false creation, proceeding from the heat-oppressed brain? I see thee yet in form as palpable as this which I now draw. Thou marshallest against me the way that I was going, and such an instrument I was to use. Mine eyes are made the fools of the other senses, or else worth all the rest. I see thee still, and on thy blade and dungeon gouts of blood, which was not so before. There's no such thing. It is the bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes. Now o'er the half-world nature seems dead, and wicked dreams abuse the curtained sleep. Witchcraft celebrates pale Hecate's offerings, and withered murder, alarmed by his sentinel the wolf, whose howls match his watch. Thus, with his wealthy pace, with Tarquin's ravishing strides, towards his design moves like a ghost. Thou sure and firm set earth, hear not my steps, which way they walk, for fear the very stones prate of my whereabout. And take the present horror from the time, which now suits with it. Whiles I threat, he lives. Words to the heat of deeds too cold breath gives. I go, and it is done. The bell invites me. Hear it not, Duncan, for it is the knell that summons thee to heaven or to hell. Macbeth. A reading from Doctor Who, The Rings of Akatan, as read by Matt Smith. Can you hear them? All those people who've lived in terror of you and your judgment. All those people whose ancestors devoted themselves, sacrificed themselves to you. Can you hear them singing? You'd like to think you're a god, but you're not a god. You're just a parasite, eaten out with jealousy and envy and longing for the lives of others. You feed on them, on the memory of birth and death and love and loss and joy and sorrow. So come on then, take mine. Take my memories. Because I hope you've got a big appetite, because I've lived a long life and I've seen a few things. I walked away from the last great Time War. I marked the passing of the Time Lords. I saw the birth of the universe, and I watched as time ran out, moment by moment, until nothing remained. No time, no space, just me. I watched universes freeze and creation burn. I have walked in universes where the laws of physics were devised by the mind of a mad man. I've seen things you wouldn't believe. I have lost things you will never understand. And I know things, secrets that must never be told, knowledge that must never be spoken, knowledge that will make parasite gods blaze. So come on then, take it. Take it all. A reading from The Rings of Akatan. And now a second reading from the Bard himself, a reading from Hamlet. To be or not to be? That is the question. whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep no more. And by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of disprized love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin? Who would these fatals bear? To grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dead of something after death, the undiscovered country of those whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will, and makes us rather bear those ills we have, than fly to others of what we know of? Thus conscience does make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is sickled o'er with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pith and moment, with this regard, their currents turn awry, and lose the name of action. Soft you now, the fair Ophelia, nymph is thy orisons, be all thy sins remembered. A reading from Hamlet. A final reading from Doctor Who, from the Zygon inversion as read by Peter Capaldi, as the 12th Doctor, the speech on war. Because it's not a game, Kate. This is a scale model of war. Every war ever fought right in front of you. Because it's always the same. When you fire that first shot, no matter how right you feel, you've got no idea who's going to die. You don't know whose children are going to scream and burn. How many hearts will be broken, how many lives shattered. How much blood will spill until everybody has to do what they were always going to have to do in the very beginning. Sit down and talk. Listen to me. Listen. I just want you to think. Do you know what thinking is? It's just a fancy word for changing your mind. If you won't change your mind, then you'll die stupid. Alternatively, you could step away from the box. You could walk right out that door, and you could have all of this and stand your revolt down. I don't understand. Are you kidding me? Me? Of course I understand. I mean, do you call this a war? This funny little thing? It's not a war. I fought in a bigger war than you will ever know. I did worse things than you could ever imagine. And when I close my eyes, I hear more screams than anyone could ever count. And do you know what you do with all this pain? Shall I tell you where you put it? You grip it tight till it burns your hand. And you say this: no one will ever have to feel and live like this. No one else will ever have to feel this pain. Not on my watch. And scene. Alright, well, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm going to drop the accent now. It was a little too hard to maintain. But thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed these little readings. Law and Smoke, I hope you've been thoroughly entertained, especially with the costume changes. Subtle things, but, you know, I tried to kind of keep it going. Anyway, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like. If you'd like to see more of my videos, please hit subscribe. I promise you they won't be this horrible. If you'd like to connect with me on other social media, you can find my links to my Twitter and Instagram in the description box below this video. I hope you're having a fantastic day whenever you're watching this and wherever you're watching this. And other than that, have a good one. A reading from the bard himself, Shakespeare, The Tragedy of King Lear, Act 1, Scene 2. Thou, nature, art my goddess. To thy law my services are bound. Wherefore should I stand in the plague of custom and permit the curiosity of nations to deprive me? For that I am some 12 and 14 moonshines lag of a brother? Why bastard? Wherefore base? When my dimensions are as well compact, my mind as generous, and my shape as true, an honest madam's issue. Why brand us thus? Base, with baseness, bastardy, base, base. Who in the lusty stealth of nature take more composition and fierce quality than doth within a dull, stale, tired bed go to the creating of a whole tribe of fops, got tween asleep and wake? Well then, legitimate Edgar, I must have your land. Our father's love is to the bastard Edmund, as to the legitimate. Fine word, legitimate. Well, my legitimate, if the letters speed and my invention thrive, Edmund the base shall to the legitimate. I grow, I prosper. Now, gods, stand up for bastards. A reading from the scene, Act 1, Scene 2 of King Lear.